Hey there, welcome to another Fruit Fruit episode. You know what? Let's just get straight into our topic for the day. The seed of the day is the reason why we need to have a goal in life. So I just want to talk about how you need to have an ultimate goal in life, like a final destination you want to get to or something you want to achieve at the end of the day. What is it? Our body and this world we live in today is designed so easily for us to walk on a path of self-destruction. So you need to have a goal. Like that is so essential. I once saw a post about beauty standards, and the person who wrote that post was talking about how it's so easy to obtain like beauty as long as you have the money for it. I mean, there's definitely limits to it, but as long as you like pay a lot of money to it and all that, like you get it. If I want to hire a nose bridge right now, I can just go to like a plastic surgeon and get my nose done. Like it's that simple. But anything that requires experience, like a certain status or an academic background, it's so hard to achieve in just one day. Like, for example, if I do an academic fraud, like me being a Harvard graduate, it's just gonna be that one fake line on my resume, but I can't, like, obtain all these experiences and knowledge which a lot of Harvard students would have. So this person was saying that's the reason why people chase beauty so much. At the end of the day, we live in a human flesh, and our human flesh requires a lot of things. Even if I decide I'm never going to be hungry for the rest of my life, I will be hungry. And I think one thing that's not talked about enough is dopamine, but there's different types of it. There's serotonin and dopamine that comes from doing things that are actually genuinely good for your body, and you actually have positive mindset to it. Those things take time. Here, an example would be you have a certain goal. Let's say, like, I want to be a fashion designer, and you achieve that dream. There's dopamine that comes from that. And that is so healthy for you. It boosts your confidence. You get to have like self-trust. You have determination because that was not simple. You had to make an actual effort, sacrifice your time. However, there's also cheap dopamine. There's a saying like, easy money, you will lose it easily. Same thing goes for dopamine. Cheap dopamine, it just means that it has very low value to your life. Maybe it could give like a sudden boost of confidence, but that confidence is fake. If you don't have a goal in life, like if you're not ambitious or passionate to reach a certain thing, you will start to chase for cheap dopamine because our human flesh requires that level of satisfaction at one point, like gratification. But people who actually have like an ultimate goal or like long-term goals, they don't really have to look at cheap dopamine because there's dopamine that comes from chasing for your ultimate goal. You start to realize that it's doing something to you. Let's say if I want to open a bakery, but I'm going to have to take classes, get exams done, get certification. When you unlock these little steps to reach your ultimate goal or your, long-term goal, you can definitely feel that you're expanding, right? But people who don't have a goal, they absolutely have no sense of accomplishment. You search for that from somewhere else. You need to know the art of waiting and the art of patience to have determination. So when one does not have the desire to achieve a certain thing for themselves or somebody else, they lack determination, which means that they want an easy way to get that sense of accomplishment. They look for a shortcut. And I think the biggest shortcut for that these days is like the dopamine you get from like attraction. This is like rewinding back to what I talked about in my episode with like dating and the red flags with it. The type of people I talked about who are always desperate to be dating someone or who always boast about having like so many girls or guys in their DMs, they always get that sense of accomplishment and dopamine through confirmation, that validation those other people give to them. So it feels like you're up here. It's like, oh, so many people want me. I'm this good. But in reality, it's like you didn't achieve anything for yourself. So it's very, very dangerous when you do not have a purpose in life. I've been having this question of why do I live? Like, for what reason am I working so hard? What am I chasing? What makes me move forward? And what am I looking forward to? I started questioning this as I graduated college because I usually set a few points of where I have to reach. So it's like, as long as I make it to year three, it's fine. As long as I get all A's for this semester, it's all good. As long as I graduate, it's all good. Like when you're a student, I think most of the times it has to do with academic things. But now that my time as a student has come to an end, now I'm starting to question like, okay, what's my goal? What's my goal now? Where do I want to go? And also, as I'm preparing for like job application and interviews, I come across a lot of these questions like, where do you see yourself in the future? Once you come into our company, what is your goal? What do you want to achieve? I'm preparing my responses to all of that. And then midway, I was like, yeah, what is my goal in life? What is my ultimate goal? Because let's say I go into my dream company. I mean, I don't really have a dream company I glorify, but let's say I do and I get in there. Then what's my goal? Maybe I want to achieve a certain status, earn a certain amount of salaries, I don't even know, or make more sales. But I realize I'm not really a person who has a very high standard for my career. I just want to explore and expand my knowledge and my comfort zone, really just meet a lot of new people and discover what I like, what I'm good at. Not like I want to make 8 figures or anything like that. So I realized finding for an ultimate goal within career is not going to work for me. So I started definitely thinking more towards concepts. Not career, not people, but things like love, friendship, affection, care, any sort of like philosophical things. And then I started thinking more about love these days. I remember my old pastor comparing love to a grape. In English, when we say grape, we think about this one circular like fruit, right? And then when you say a cluster of grapes, it's like there's a whole cluster to it. But in Korean, grape translates to podo, and when you say podo, it also refers to a cluster of grapes. That cluster is sort of considered singular. So I think that's why he used that example. But anyways, his point was love has multiple components to it. So it's not just a simple definition kind of thing. It has this, all these like little things that make up love. I mean, even in the Bible, it talks about all the traits which love has. That was the reason why I didn't think much about love. We can't have a simple definition for it. But I've been thinking more about it lately because aside from career or aside from a certain type of goal I have for myself, what's something that makes me move forward? That kind of sort of made me track back into looking at what things made me so happy. I have a lot of hobbies, I have a lot of like interests, but fundamentally, I think it's always when I'm expressing love to someone else. But I think there's no concept of unconditional love in terms of a human scale. Like, even for me, if I love a person and if that person hates me, it's going to be so hard for me to love that person. In this case, love has requirements to it. This person has to love me back, or not even love me back, like not do me wrong, not be violent. It has some sort of restrictions and limitations with my love, right? But as Christian, the only type of unconditional love I've been taught is the love God has for his sons and his daughters. Okay, if unconditional love is almost impossible for us to achieve, then what's the closest I can get to that point? Because I think internally I'm somebody who wants to love someone else. Even when I think about my values with dating and the things I've said about it, I think I just want to learn love and know how to properly love someone else. So I was like trying to think of all kinds of forms of love, like with friends and family and everyone. But then there's one type of love that really stood out to me. For me, it was my dog. It's a funny example, but it was my dog because she's 14 now. I had her since she was a baby. I was also a baby. I don't know if this is the right expression to use, but I kind of like raised her. It's kind of like my first time raising a living thing, right? And I think that kind of taught me what love is. Obviously I love my parents, but the love I have as a daughter and the love I have as a caretaker is so different. I think the love you have as a caretaker slash parent for me, it seemed to be more close to an unconditional love. Because as I said, the only kind of unconditional love I know is the love God has for his children. In this case, God is the father, we're the children. God's love is like parents' love. It's like a caretaker's love. So, I mean, I don't have a child, so the closest I can get to was being a caretaker slash provider for my dog. And to me, it was so different than just being a daughter, just being somebody who receives that sort of affection and care. But in that case, I think being a parent is really like pouring a water to your plant. You're like growing a plant, right? As a plant, you're kind of like the receiver. So I think to learn more about love, you have to be the provider at one point. And that made me realize that's why I have to become a mother. I know this conversation is just going here and there, but that was just kind of like the train of thoughts I had. Okay, I just want to learn more about love. But then love, there's a limit to it. Is there unconditional love? Yes, unconditional love is the love God has for his children. Then what does God's love look like? And that was the conclusion I came up with. Parental love. A love that father has, a love that mother has. So now I'm just in the stage of learning, right? I'm still navigating in my 20s, in my adulthood, but I think I'll actually get to know and learn more about love once I become a mother. The love you have for your spouse, the love you have for your partner, the love you have for your friends, I think it can all look very similar. But the love you have for your child, I think that's different. My ultimate goal is not to like become a mother. That's not really like my final goal. But I just want to learn more about love. Yeah, I think I just have to get through that point to learn more about it. Right now, I'm at stage 1. By the time I get through that, it's going to be like, that's when my journey starts. And I'm glad I had this kind of confirmation because I think it's crucial to have this kind of mentality before I get there, because then I think I can definitely like apply all these kind of little things I want to achieve and this sort of like mindset in terms of the way I care for my child. So that's not going to happen anytime soon, but one day that will be like maybe like one of the turning points in my life. So the fruit of the day is the pursuit of meaningful goal is what turns simply existing into like truly living. Let's fully experience what life has to offer. We just have to embrace life to the fullest, and that's all that matters. If you're somebody who has like a big goal in life, feel free to share. Yeah, I just hope this episode was helpful for those of you who feel lost and empty. This is my way of figuring out how to live my life at its fullest. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, I will see you guys in the next episode.